Today, we're covering Webmail, and these are the items that we're going to kind of touch on, the things here. Hopefully, I'm going to touch on pretty much everything you're interested in, but if we do not get to something or you have a specific question about Webmail that you'd like us to answer, I will get to those at the end of this, and we'll make sure that all your questions are answered, or if not, we will track down the answer and get back to you as soon as possible. Again, go ahead and ask any questions you want about any system. I'll focus on the Webmail questions first, and then we'll move on to the other questions. Just to run down the list, we're going to talk about Webmail as an integrated system, meaning you can use it with your web hosting. It works with Downline Manager. You get your own custom USANA email address, which is great as a professional. You guys are associates out there selling the business. So you can have bob@usana.com, sally@usana.com, whatever you want. You get 1 gigabyte of space to store mail on there. The system is translated into every language that we support. It has a very robust address book, including the capability to clean duplicates out of your address. So as you're replying to addresses, adding them to your address book, if you have duplicates in there, you can go in once in a while and just get rid of the extras. It makes it easier when you're doing group messages so people aren't receiving more than one. We have simple downline queries within the system itself, so you can go into the website, build a quick query from your downline, and send messages to those people. On the same token, you can go into Downline Manager, create a report, and the results from that report can then generate, generate an email to all those people on that list, or a subset of the people on that list. We have a thing called the bounce feature, so when you're sending large groups of email to large, I should say, email to large groups of people, you can choose to not be replied to from them. It goes to a bucket where your inbox is not filled up. When you are sending out email, your email list to people who exist in your downline is unlimited. So if you have a tree of 30,000 people, which some people do, you can send email messages to all 30,000 of those people, and they'll go through. If you're putting in addresses that are not in our DLM system, you are limited to 500, which is still quite a few addresses. It's a pretty big list. Within our system, you can add multiple email accounts, meaning if you have a Gmail account, a Yahoo account, an MSN account, whatever, you can add these to be part of your USANA mailbox. So you can send and receive messages from all of these mailboxes from within your USANA mailbox. We also allow external access, meaning POP3, IMAP, forwarding. What this does is this allows you to use your iPhone, your BlackBerry, your Android, Outlook, whatever you want to use can attach to our mail system. So you don't have to come to the Webmail interface. You can be using your normal mail clients. So what I'm going to do now is just walk through each of these things in the actual system itself. So hold on one second while I switch screens. So you may recognize this. This is our USANA.com landing page. So what you're going to do is you're going to log in like normal. So I'll go ahead and log in here. So before I go into the Webmail system, I want to first talk to you about setting up or how this works with DLM. This is a test account which actually unfortunately does not have a downline, and we did not have time to create a downline for it because it's actually a lot of work. But within the Downline Manager, it's not doing what I want. Sorry. Within the Downline Manager itself, as you run these various reports, And you probably know what it would look like. As you run the reports, it has the details of it here. At the bottom, it will say send email, send e-card. That's what you'd click on, and that would take you to a list selection where you would select each of the items that you wanted, and then it would then take you into the website, the Webmail create email page, and you go ahead and send that. I apologize, we didn't have a screenshot for that. I was really trying to get that just in time, but we did not. Under web hosting, hopefully all of you have taken the time to create a website already. If not, we do have a training in a few weeks on how to build a website, and we're going to walk through all of these. But I just wanted to show you real quick on on Manage Content, Step 3, one of your pages that are already in there is called the Contact Me page. In the Contact Me page, you have the section here for the Contact Me. Part of that is there's a link here that says email. The email can be controlled by you. Oops. Sorry. The email address is controlled by you. If you enter nothing into this email address, we will automatically use the email address that you've created in your Webmail. So if you want this to be something different than your USANA Webmail, so you have a Gmail account you use, when people fill out your Contact Me form, it will automatically go to your USANA, your bob@usana.com email address, unless you specify differently. So I just wanted to show you that real quick. Now we're going to go into the actual website builder, or Webmail. Got websites on my mind. This is the Webmail, if you've never seen it. It's actually one of the most powerful Webmail systems we've ever found, and we spent probably a year looking at all the different ones out there, including Google, Yahoo, a lot of private carriers. We even considered using Microsoft Exchange. Zimbra gave us the most capability to integrate with your other systems, and hopefully within the next year or two you're going to see a lot more integration points with your Webmail. So the first thing I wanted to show you, if you haven't done this already, is how to set up your alias. Down on the left side over here, let me use my marker, you'll see there are these things called Zimlets. One of them is called the Change Alias, and we're going to use that right now. When I click on the Change Alias, it pops up this little modal. In this modal, I can set the name. This particular account is called testpp@usana.com. Yours can be anything you want as long as someone else doesn't already have it. You can also remove your alias. So just something to point out, when you set up an alias, you still have, you will have two addresses then that go to the same exact box. In this case, this person is testpp@usana.com. When you first create your mailbox through the USANA mail system, you will have an email address of your distributor ID, associate ID, @usana.com. So in this case, this associate's ID is 78867. If someone sends an email to 78867 @usana.com, it will go to the same exact mailbox as testpp@usana.com. They're interchangeable. One beautiful part about that is that if you change your alias down the road and someone has your distributor ID address, then it won't have any effect on it. If you change your alias and someone is using your old alias to email you, it will no longer go to your box. So be aware of that. Once you set your alias and then you change it, you need to let everyone know that has your email address that your email address has changed. So I mentioned before that you have 1 gig of space. This right here is another feature that I do not see in a lot of mail clients. I see it in Google Mail, which is great. And here, this is showing you the 1 gig of space. In this case, this account has used roughly 50% of their 1 gig of space. And you can clear out your space anytime you want by, in this case, they have 3,000 unread messages and probably another 3,000 read messages, going through and clearing those out. And then I think part of this also includes your trash. So on occasion, you'll want to go out and clear your trash folder. To change languages, there's this section up top here called Preferences. Preferences is actually the equivalent of options that other systems might call options, settings, whatever you want to call it. They call it Preferences here. When you click on Preferences, there are a number of options, one of which is your language. So in this case, we're set to English, United States. I can go ahead and change it to French, Dutch, Japanese, whatever I want, whatever you choose. By default, the first time you set up your email account, it will set it for you to the language that we have on file for you with USANA. If you choose to use a different language, you'll come in here and you change it, and the next time you come in, it will stay with what you changed, not with what we have on our system. So it's your choice. Now, one thing you may do if you go and play with this is make the mistake I made and change it to a language that I cannot read, and then it makes it really hard to change it back. So just know that I wouldn't change it to a language that's really hard to read if you change it to a language at all. The address book right here, in this case this person has 2 addresses, but it has a lot of capability. With the addresses, you can search by alphabet, numbers, all, and the one thing I wanted to point out with this address book is although the webmail is integrated with a lot of our systems, the address book currently is not integrated with a lot of our systems. However, if you choose to use this address book, it does allow for you to import from other address books. We're not going to get into that today because it's a little more complex process, but just know that it's there for you if you need it. Again, if you have addresses that are duplicates, we have this thing called Contact Cleaner. If you click on the Contact Cleaner, it's going to look for duplicates and show you all of them here. And then you can go through and choose what things you want to do with it. It's actually really great. If you do a lot of messaging, you're probably going to use the Contact Cleaner quite a bit. So one feature that makes this mail system far superior to other mail systems is the fact that it's integrated with your downline manager. So I'm going to show you now how that works. If I could see it. I'm going to just go to create new email. And so this is what the create mail screen looks like. It's pretty standard. It looks pretty much like any create mail screen you've probably ever used. If you've used MSN, if you've used Yahoo, Google, they're all about the same. On ours, we have this button up here. It's called Downline Query. This is just a very simple, very quick way to get addresses from your downline. I'm going to go ahead and show you that now. Like I mentioned before, this is a test account and they unfortunately have no downline. But I'm going to show you what it looks like and explain how it works. So what you're going to do here is we'll click on that button. It says select existing query. This would be any queries that you've already created, and So if I've created one in the past, I can reuse it anytime I want. Or I can create a new query, which brings up a screen like this. In this screen, I can go ahead and it shows some of the variables that you would run reports on in the downline manager itself, so that you can quickly find something. So if you want everyone that is a gold and above, or let's just say everyone that's a gold director in the state of, let's choose a country, in Australia that happens to be in Northern Territory, and I can then say use once or use and save. So if I do this, unfortunately, I want to name this query if I'm going to save it. Sorry. So and then use and save. Unfortunately, there's no one in this downline, so there was nothing added. But what will happen is once you get a downline, a group of addresses that work, you're going to get a single address in here. So this will say something like 1, 2, 3, 4, at some. It's an obscure address, and the reason it looks like that is because we do not want people responding to all. If you send this out to 30,000 people and someone says reply all, that's a bad thing. So the address that goes in there, the to address, will then in turn, when we send this out, actually just send an individual email to that person, that one person on that list of 30,000, their own separate email, so it looks more professional than putting everyone in BCC. So, and as I mentioned before, you can also go into the downline manager itself and build a far more robust query, meaning you can go to the custom report builder, or you can run one of your bigger reports like your genealogy report, and based on the results of that report, then send an email through this same system. It will take you over here and you'll send the email. It's actually very powerful and it works great. Our top leaders tend to use this quite often. So the next thing I want to show you is the bounce feature. This right here is another button in the compose page. Again, the downline query and the bounce features can only be seen on the compose page itself. In this case, this email that we're sending as a default accepts undeliverable mail messages. With the bounce feature, another advantage, and actually the reason that bounce was created, is if you're using mailing lists that are not downline manager, meaning the emails have not been qualified in the past, if you buy lists or whatever you do, if you're using a lot of email addresses, the bounce feature will make it so undeliverables will not come back to your inbox. You will not get a response. By default, most people do not have this turned on, but when you do send large mailing lists or emails to large mailing lists, it's a good feature to turn on so that you are not spammed. It does not fill up your inbox if you expect you're going to have a lot of undeliverable messages, or you're going to have a lot of people replying back to you. As mentioned before, if you use the downline addresses, there are unlimited number of email addresses you can have attached to a single email. However, if you drop a bunch of addresses in yourself, say you buy a list or you just have a list from another mail client that you use, and you've amassed a large number of them, you are limited to 500 email addresses per email. However, you can send the same email out multiple times to lists of 500. So that's one way to get around it. Going back to the preferences feature, one of the things that you have in here is the Accounts tab under Preferences. In here, this is where you would be able to add multiple accounts. So in this case, I have my primary account, which is 78867usana.com. My alias is testpp. I can then add an external account, and in that external account, as I choose these, it changes the bottom there. So I would go in and say it's my Gmail account. I would type in, rick@gmail.com. Account name, I want to just call it my Gmail. My username is going to be, in the case of Gmail, it's going to be rick@gmail.com. The email server, I would go to Gmail and I would find what the actual mail server name is. I already know that it's mail.gmail.com. And then my password, whatever that might be. It will try to choose a default for you, and then if you need SSL. Any mail system, any mail account that you're going to add to this, you typically want to go to the vendor, Yahoo, Google, whoever it is, and they will have instructions on how to do this. At the very least, they're going to have instructions on what these settings are. The mail system we use is called Zimbra. It's an industry standard mail system, so if you're on Google or Yahoo or MSN, you should be able to search how to add your mail account to a Zimbra webmail account, and they should have instructions on that because Zimbra is so widely used. We'll go ahead, where do you want the messages to go to, this and that. So it's pretty simple to do, and then from that point on, when you send out an email, when you compose an email, you can choose, you want it to come from 78867, you want it to come from testpp, or you want it to come from rick@gmail. You'll be able to do that. All messages to any of those addresses will come to this one mailbox. Using this, if you want to separate them, you can choose where it's going to go, a folder called Gmail or just straight to my inbox. Another feature you'll find under Preferences is forwarding. For this one, you're going to go to the mail. It's still going to be Preferences. You're going to hit the tab called Mail. Within this tab, you're going to, if you want to forward, you're going to go down to Receiving Messages. Within Receiving Messages, I can say I want every message that comes into this mailbox to go to rick@google.com, and then I can choose to either keep a copy in my USANA mailbox or not to keep a copy in my USANA mailbox. If I choose not to keep a copy in my USANA mailbox, then I have set up a true forwarding, which means basically any email that goes to 78867@usana.com or testpp@usana.com automatically redirects to rick@google.com, and I will receive it there. Keep in mind, if you choose to keep a copy on your mailbox here, you're limited to 1 gig of space, and even though you're deleting those emails from your other account where it's being forwarded to, eventually you're going to fill up this mailbox. So you want to come in every once in a while, at least clear that out if you choose to keep a local copy here. All right. So the last thing I wanted to show you, we'll lower this, is that you can set up your iPhone, your BlackBerry, your Outlook on your desktop, an Android phone pretty much any device or computer that allows you to use POP3 or IMAP, which are two protocols for sending and receiving mail, you can do that with this mail system. So what you're looking at right here is all of the information you need to set that up. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on how to set each one of them up because they're different, but with this information here, you'll be able to go in and do so. So just to walk through them, every mail client out there, be it on a phone or on a computer, will require a username. They may not call it username, they may call it email address or something like that. Your username is going to be your distributor ID at USANA.com. Hold on a sec. Sorry, I had to mute for just a second. Your password is going to be your USANA Today password. So the password you use to log in to USANA Today is the same password you're going to use to log into your mail from any client that you choose. Like I said before, you can use POP3 or IMAP to connect to our mail. I strongly encourage you to use POP3. It's the industry standard. IMAP is also an industry standard, but POP3 is going to give you better security, and it's going to be supported on more devices. So knowing how to do it on just the one protocol, POP3, is going to get you by on pretty much everything. When you go into these, they're going to have incoming and outgoing mail server preferences. Some of them are going to have more than others. I use an iPhone, and it tries to give you the bare minimum to get you by, and you can do it with this. So when you go into your client, don't be worried if you're not seeing all of these options. The one that really matters is the host name for the incoming mail server and the outgoing mail server. The rest of the stuff is usually default. SSL, we do support SSL. However, to avoid confusion, I'm not listing it here because changing to SSL requires you to change a setting on your applications, your clients, and also change the port. So I'm just saying don't use SSL for now. If you get to the point where you're sending very secure emails that you don't want anyone to ever see or decrypt, let us know and we'll send you all that information. The port on your systems will usually default to the correct port. This is the standard port for incoming mail. So you should not have to change that. However, if it's not this port, go ahead and change it. Some of them will ask if there's a username and password. You will not need a username and password for incoming and outgoing mail servers. That will already be handled by the username and password for the email address. Outgoing and ingoing are almost the same. You can see, in fact, they're exactly the same except for the port number. And like I said, the ports are going to be defaulted already. That's everything I have to show you on the mail. I'm going to go ahead and check and see if there's any questions. And I'm not seeing any yet. Hold on. So Jacqueline Guy asks, is the person who has friends in London on here today? That I don't know. I'm going to keep going down. So there are a number of questions here. So one question is, will this webinar be recorded and posted? The answer is yes. And oh, I should have. The answer is yes. And the recording will be found probably Monday, and it will be in the same place that you originally enrolled for this training, on the live training link under the Income Maximizer tab. We will start keeping all of the live training recordings there. So someone asks, I am not seeing the bounce feature. I have my other computer up. Let me just go and show you that bounce feature real fast again.
Rick, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. That
This
would
is
be Jason
Jason.
Bolander. Who's,
Yes, this
okay.
is Jason. I think that I know what many people experience when they don't see the bounce feature. There are actually two different modes that Zimbra or Webmail can operate in. One is in standard mode and one is in advanced. The one that you've been seeing today is advanced mode, and if you are in standard mode, you will not see any of the Zimlets or the, the other features like the downline query or the bounce feature. Yeah, and Rick has pointed to the to how you can change this.
Let me. So I'm going to, just to show you guys how that works, I'm going to actually toggle between the two of them right here in front of you. So you can see it says standard version. The fact that it says standard version actually means that I'm in the non-standard version, the pro version. So if I click on standard version, it's going to change this real fast to the standard version, which you'll notice if I go to the compose page here, the features that we had before, like DLM and bounce, are no longer there. So go ahead and click advanced version to get back to that. And then when you go to compose a new email, these features show up. All right, so I'm going to go to the next question. I actually don't know what this next question means. I'm going to post it back up to the person who posted it and ask them to elaborate and then move on to the next question and come back to their question when they do. All right. So Jacqueline says no, no. All right, I have a lot of questions here that aren't questions. All right. I'm getting a question. Who will own the address once you entered? I don't understand the question completely, so I'm going to try to answer it in multiple ways. If you create an alias, in our case it was test pp, the user 78867 owns that address. Also, they own the address 78867@usana.com. So they have two email addresses. One, which is 78867, is their primary email address, the actual email address that identifies this box. The alias test.pp@usana.com is their alias, and they still own it. If you release an alias, say you delete your alias or you change it to something else. I wanted to change it to USANA rocks@usana.com. Test PP is no longer mine. I do not own that anymore, and it will any email that goes to that address will go to nobody until someone else decides to use that same address. I hope that answered your question. If not, type your question in again and we'll get to it. I'm going down the list. Let's see. So here's a good question. Can you connect to Webmail without logging into USANA.com? The answer is yes. And I think I can show you how to do that real fast. Actually, Jason, do you know the I think it's just, you go to mail.usana.com. Yeah, and that's it. So I'm logged in as this person right now. If I wasn't logged, in fact, let me log out and show you what it looks like. So I'm on mail.usana.com right now. So let me just type that in for you. So just like the mail server address that you need in order to set up your iPhone, your Android, your Outlook, the mail.usana.com is the only address you're going to need, and that's going to take you straight to this login page where I can put in my username and password. Oops, wrong box. I'm going to log in.
Hey, Rick. This is Jason again. Just for our for our audience, I just wanted to let them know that when you type in that username, sometimes just your ID will work, but technically your username is your ID at usana.com. So if you type that in, that will always work as your username. And then when using this for your iPhone or your Android device, that is the username that you want to use.
Okay. So Bill Robinson asked, what do I need to do to ask questions that others can hear what you are asking? Bill, if you'd like to speak, I can turn your microphone on for you. Otherwise, you can type your question into the type question here box, and I'll go ahead and answer it for you. If you'd like me to turn on your mic, I can do so. Just send me a quick question there. It says I want to ask my question out loud. So I got the question, is this presentation designed for new associates too? It is not exactly set up for new associates. A new associate would not have gone straight into, when I clicked Webmail under the Income Maximizer tab in USANA today, it took us straight into Webmail. If I had not set up my Webmail account yet, it would have shown me a slightly different screen. I purposely did not show that just to prevent confusion. We will be doing a presentation that is strictly for new associates. That one, once I get nailed down all of the bullet points for that, will probably be a training that I will do once a week in addition to these more advanced trainings. So look for that to come out probably in 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully. If we get it all done right, we're going to have 2 trainings a week. One's going to be the new associate fast start, or whatever we call it, which will cover everything. Getting a website up quickly, getting your email set up, using the follow-up assistant, how to send an e-card, just the basics to get you started in your business. So very good question. Look for announcements on new associate presentation. That will be coming in the next few weeks. Thank you so much for asking that. Let's see. Okay, there's a question, will I need to compact the trash folder? Because this is Webmail, I know what you're talking about. What this is referring to is on Outlook, if you're using Outlook on your desktop, you have the ability to compress folders of emails down to take up less space that you're not going to use very often. So if you have a large group of emails, say just your history, you're the type of person who holds on to every email, like Jason is, you can go in and say, I don't want this to take a gig of space anymore. I want to compact it down because I will almost never need it. And it compacts it down. And later, if you do need something out of it, you can then, it allows you to go in and search through it and find the email you're looking for that you may have archived a year ago. So I think what's being asked here is, can you archive? The answer, unfortunately, is no. I do not know of a webmail system that allows archiving. However, if you set up Outlook to use your USANA email, then it can pull the messages down to your computer, and at that point you can then use the archiving feature in Outlook to store all your messages forever, which effectively gives you far more than 1 gig of space. You know, it basically gives you as much space as you have on your hard drive at home. Okay, so the next question I got refers to a previous question that I tried to answer. The person says, no, I mean the address of people I enter. So I guess what it's asking, and Jason, you're going to have to help me with this, if I enter an address if I compose an email to, say, myself, rick.wilson at us.usana.com, and then send this to myself from this box here. So my email here is 78867 at usana.com. I've entered rick.wilson at us.usana.com, and I'm going to send this. If I understand the question correctly, I think you're asking if this does the same thing as Outlook does, where it remembers every email address that I've ever sent an email to, so that the next time I type it in, it saves it. Jason, do you know if this is the case?
Excuse me. It will remember some. It will remember the email addresses that you have specifically sent to, but not email addresses that you have received from. So yes, that is correct, Rick. It will create a contact for that person.
So I just sent that email. So you're saying now I can go into my address book and not seeing. Is there a separate thing for contacts?
There is. If you look over to the left-hand side where it says emailed contacts under your address book, it actually creates a couple of different address books.
Oh.
One are the contacts that you've entered, and just below
Gotcha.
that are the emailed contacts.
Okay, email contacts. So if I go to R, there I am. Right, yep. So to answer your question, yes. So I'll type that in. Yes, it's under address book, email contacts. Perfect. I hope that answered your question. So someone asked, should I ever leave, will I be able to have my database back? I'm assuming you're asking if you were to have Webmail set up and you amassed a large list of emails and addresses, you're asking, and then you left, you stopped using our Webmail system for whatever reason, and came back, will your account still be there? Will it still have emails in it, and will it still have your addresses? Unfortunately, no. Our server, in order to save space and money, actually goes through once a month and cleans out any account that is no longer active. And active is anything that basically is not paid for. So if you don't, or part of our free, if you don't have a subscription to Income Maximizer or a subscription to Webmail and you let it pass for a month, it will be gone, unfortunately.
Rick, can I chime in on that as well?
Yeah.
If again, like you said, if you are gone for more than a month, so or if you are gone for 30 days or more, or pardon me, 28 days or more, then it will be gone for good. For the first 28 days, it will go into an inactive mode where all of the contacts and mail will still be there. But after 28 days, then it will be deleted.
Okay. So we have the question, how do you import contacts? I'm going to send you instructions offline for that because it's actually very complex and I don't want to make this too confusing. There's an email here from Mahin Ashley. It says, okay, look forward to that. Will you confirm dates by email? I'm assuming that is in reference to the new associate training. I will absolutely email all of you, and in the email I'm going to include a couple of things. I'll send you a thank you email after this. It may not come till Monday. This is going to include all of the information. Let me find it for you. All the information on this slide here on how to set up your the data you need in order to set up your Outlook, your iPhone, or Android. I'm also going to send out the how to import contacts. I'll make sure everyone gets a copy of that. And then I will also put dates on, I will follow up to this group and give the dates and times of when the new associate training will be. You may not be interested, but as you enroll new people, you may want to let them know. And we're going to try to make it the same day, same time every week so that everyone can join if they want and get their questions answered. I hope that's what you're asking. If not, I apologize. So good question here. How long will archived emails stay on the system? We don't actually have true archived emails. You basically have your box. So you have your inbox, all the folders under your inbox, your trash folder, your spam folder. All of that will stay as long as you have an account. Once your account goes inactive, meaning you've stopped subscribing to our webmail service, it will go inactive for 28 days. At the end of that 28 days, it will be removed by the system. Hopefully that kind of answers the question. Let's see. All right, and that looks like it's the end of the questions I have under that list. I wanted to also highlight that you all have my email address, and you may think of questions after this. Feel free to shoot me an email. I may not answer you directly. I may send it to our we have a special team that answers questions about our online systems. So I may forward it to them, but feel free to use me as a gateway to that until you get to know that team. We're more than happy to help you guys. Again, these systems are for you, so we want to make sure you're happy with them, you're using them, and we want to personalize your experience. So anything that you want to know further, let us know. It would also be very helpful to me if you have the time to let us know other topics you might be interested in. Obviously, we heard someone wants to know more about training for new associates. excellent suggestion. We're definitely going to do that. As you saw in our list of stuff, there's going to be a whole bunch of topics that we're going to hit. But we may not be hitting a topic that's important to you, and we want the training to be useful to you. So let us know. We'll see if we can get something scheduled, and I'll make sure to reply back once we know if that's going to be scheduled or not, of when it's going to be scheduled. I would also appreciate any feedback you have on your experience with this training. This is our very first training, so we're making mistakes and trying to improve. Any input you have, we'd love to have your feedback on how to make this better. We're going to probably keep doing this forever if we can, and we want to make it as awesome as possible for you, to give you the most information and information that's actually valuable. So I appreciate everyone attending today. I hope this was helpful, and we really appreciate everything you do, and I hope our tools do everything you need them to do. Thank you so much. I'm going to, if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the training. Okay, so there is another question. Are we going to learn about actually setting up the web page? We are going to have a training in a few weeks, and in fact I will look it up for you right now what the actual date is. We have a training just on your website builder, and that training is going to be December 8th. And in that training we're going to show you how to set up an entire website, including the Contact Me page. So look forward to that. We will also touch on that when we go to the new associates training. So both of those will be there. I hope that answered your question. I hope that's the web page you're referring to. And I think that's all the questions we have. So thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate that you joined us today. We love you guys. You're out there making it happen. Let us know how we can help you do so. Thanks so much, and hopefully I will see you next week on the next live training. Thanks, guys.